Hello, all you hardcores out there, and a big hello to all you trolls and haters out there. How you doing? It's Big Porky here. I thought I'd do a video entitled, or titled should I say, Is Barry Hearn going Sea-Nile? Now, as a lot of you people know, and a lot of you boxing people who've been to my home, well, not to my new home, but to my previous place, you can all testify that if you go in my house, there's pictures on my wall of Barry Hearn. There's one of me and him as well. There's magazines he's been in. I've followed his career for years. Now, everybody says Barry Hearn's first show was the Joe Bugner Frank Bruno episode at 1987 at White Hart Lane. That's not true. He did a couple of little shows with Mickey Duff months before that to get the feel of boxing, because he's a very careful old codger, old Barry Hearn. Bit of a wily old fox. He's a rascal, and my old mum loves him. And my kids' mum, my twins Reggie and Ruby, their mum, she likes him as well. She thinks he's lovable. He's a lovable rogue in the old bazzer. I nicknamed him the Godfather of British boxing. He's knocking on a bit now. He's gone past 70. He's just had to have his driving test, I've been told. He had to retake it. So, and I agree with that as well, because he's been coming out with some outlandish statements of late. Now, I don't think he gets new age promoting. I don't think he gets it. I think Eduardo, although I have a love-hate relationship with Eduardo, I think he gets new age promoting. I don't think Barry gets it. Now, no offence against that. No offence against you, Bazza. I know you're probably listening to this, but I don't think you get it. And I think that a lot of the good work that Eddie's doing in boxing, you go and undo it on IFL TV or Sky, or behind the ropes. When you have an interview, you come out with outlandish and outrageous comments. For example, you were fishing in your back pond recently, and you said that you're not bothered if Joshua doesn't fight Wilder. It doesn't bother you. You've got a 7-8 year plan. Now, boxing fans, Barry, can be very fickle, as you well know, but come on. The fans wanted the Wilder fight. You didn't want it. You know that, Barry. You know that. You can blame Frankie the Fish all you want, but the Godfather of British boxing and the Silver Spoon Kid, your son, young Eduardo, you didn't want it. And I don't blame you. Who wants to fight somebody who knocks everybody out that he fights? The guy's got dynamite in his hands. Nobody has seen a ferocious and as big a puncher as Wilder since Ernie Shavers, George Foreman. The guy's a freak of nature, and we all know that Joshua is hiding glass. He's hiding that much glass, Bazza. He should be sponsored by Auto Windscreens, and in fact, I'd be shocked if he wasn't sponsored by them before the end of his career. I really, really would be shocked. But Joshua, he's hit the deck in the pros. He's hit the deck several times in sparring and several times in amateur ranks. And if he fights Wilder, he will hit the deck. The only way you're going to keep Joshua's record intact as undefeated is if you avoid punches. That's why you didn't want the David Price fight. David Price, if he hits Joshua, is going to sleep. But I think it's over for David Price. But anyway, we're not on about David Price here. We're on about Barry Hearn, known in the business as Barry Hearn. Now, Barry Hearn has got some faults in that I don't think he gets boxing at the moment. When he were boxing a boxing promoter, he had Chris Eubank, didn't he? Right. Now let's take a look at Chris Eubank's record. Right, let's take a look. Now, Christopher Livingston Eubank. I'm going to get it up on my phone now. Now I can tell you his record straight away. Christopher Livingston Eubank. He beat 90. Yeah, he fought 19 wins as a world WBO champion. He had 19 title wins, yeah, 19, but only 5 of them were any good. No, 4. Only 4 were former world champions. Nigel Benn at middleweight and 3 guys at super middleweight. So Christopher Eubank, in all that time, he was the super middleweight champion of the world. All them title fights, and let me tell you, he were very active. Barry Hearn flogged him to death. Let me tell you, in all that time, Eubank only beat 4 world champions, and only one of them were a current world champion. That were Nigel Benn at middleweight, and at the time the belt wasn't recognised by Ring magazine. So Chris Eubank, really, his career was built on good matchmaking and a lot of hype. Now they've took that to another level with Anthony Joshua. Now we all know that Joshua's fighting in the weakest heavyweight division since the early 80s, the Larry Holmes era, and going back to the Marciano era. Now that's not Barry Hearn's fault. It's also not Barry Hearn's fault that Joshua's got 4 belts that he never took off the champion. Now, yeah, you can say Charlie Martin was a champion, but you know what I'm getting at, don't you? He got those belts because the Hearns are very, very shrewd people outside of boxing. Yeah, if you're going to give the Hearns criticism, right, what you got to do is asking the proper questions. And they'll just go no comment or they'll shut you down. Right, if they have a debate with you, it means they've still got room to beat you in the debate. Now, I'm offering a challenge to Barry Hearn and his son Eduardo to come on Porky's Corner. I'll even meet them. I'll jump in my Merc. I'll leave the Barraboy jeans and the sweater at home. I'll put the tailored suit on. I'll jump in the E-Class. I'll drive down that motorway to Essex. And I'll have a meet with them. I'll even treat them to lunch. Because I've got questions here from the fans. Not from me, from the fans. Proper boxing questions. We're not talking Coogie Bear questions or hi fight fans, Michelle Phelps. We're talking proper boxing questions. Questions about StubHub. Questions about the 50 million offer. Questions about emails that I saw yesterday relating to the £50 million offer. Things that they may not want to talk about, but the fans want answers to. Now, Christopher Eubank, right, we all know that he beat Nigel Benn and that he became the middleweight champion of the world. After that, he fought Dan Sherry. He was a world champion. He fought him in a middleweight defence. He then fought another middleweight defence against Gary Stretch. Gary Stretch should have been nowhere near that ring against Christopher Eubank. Then fought Michael Watson. Everybody in boxing knows that Michael Watson got beat that night he fought Michael Watson. They then had a rematch against Michael Watson. He lost every round apart from 11th and obviously 12th. He got lucky at the end. He then beat Thelani Malinga. Now, Eubank at the time were a megastar. Now, we all know that Malinga beat Chris Eubank, but he lost a split decision. He then fought John Jarvis, who was a postman. He then fought Ron Essett. He was a builder. He then fought Tony Thornton. He was a postman as well. You can all check this on Wikipedia, that's true. He then fought Juan Carlos Gimenez. I never rated him. He beat Lyndall Holmes. That was a good win. I'm going to give him that Lyndall Holmes win. So we've got Chris Eubank. So we've got Nigel Benn, Watson. That's a good win. I thought Watson beat him in first one. But I'll give him the Thelani Malinga, Nigel Benn, and I'll give him the Lyndall Holmes win. After Lyndall Holmes, he only beat one more world champion, Roshi Gianni. Now he beat him. Now that's probably Christopher Livingston Eubank's best win. Now that were in Germany. Now he then fought Ray Close again. That was a split decision. They had a draw earlier on in his career. He had a draw with Nigel Benn. And then I think Barry Hearn thought he were cashing him out then against Roshi Gianni. He thought Eubank were finished. Once he beat him, he got a new lease of life. Put him back in with Ray Close. Then he put him in with a guy, right, 4 years as a world champion. He put him in with Mauricio Amaral. Who the bloody hell is he? 15-1. You know, he's like Joe Calzaghe's first WBO defence, isn't he? Branko Sobots. You see, the WBO, you can get away with murder with him. He then fought Dan Scommer, he were no good. Henry Wharton's a good win. He'd be a world champion today with all these belts about. He then lost to Steve Collins. He then fought a guy with 10 defeats called Godoy. And Baru Tabina, he had 1 defeat. And then he then lost to Steve Collins again. He then fought a guy with 8 losses, then a guy with 2 losses, names I can't even pronounce. Then fought Calzaghe, got beat, and the 2 Carl Thompson fights. So basically, Christopher Livingston Eubank, he got beat 5 times in his career, and they were all on Frank Warren promotion shows. All of them defeats were on Frank Warren shows, not Barry Hearn shows. The Collins and the 2 Collins fights were on joint promotions with Barry Hearn, but they were in Ireland. And the Calzaghe and the Thompson losses, they were Frank Warren shows. See, Frank Warren were bitter when Barry Hearn had Eubank. That's why he signed Nigel Benn and he tried to get at him, and they had a draw, but Christopher Eubank admitted that he lost the rematch to Benn. But I think it's history repeating itself, isn't it? He's gone and got Tyson Fury. He were grooming Tyson when he were with Mick Hennessy to sign with him, and he eventually got him, and it's the same now. Although Joshua's the Chris Eubank and Tyson Fury is the Nigel Benn. And Barry Hearn and Frank are going to lock horns again. Barry won't want to be out of the limelight when it's all ramped up, when Tyson fights Joshua next year. But I just think that Barry's coming out with some crazy statements lately, and I'm a strawberry trifle worried for him. I'm not going to say get back in your box, because he's good for boxing. I've met Barry Hearn, I like him. My family like him. You know, I've seen him at Crucible many times. I remember after Steve Davis won his semi-final in 1981. You know, I remember Barry Hearn were jumping up and down because they were going to play Doug Mountjoy, the burly ex-miner, in the final, and that's when he basically arrived. And I followed his career since then, actually. Well, since 1980 when he beat Alex Higgins in Coral UK final. They said Davis would get beat, and he trounced Higgins, didn't he? And Higgins were the man, let me tell you then. But I think that Barry is basically messing things up for Eddie with some of his comments. I think he needs to leave Eddie to do what he's got to do and bring boxing forward. Barry says he's looking for global domination. He's coming out with quotes about Hitler and stuff like that on the IFL TV interview. The guy has lost the plot. I bet his missus Susie is at home while she's making him his 5th cup of tea for the day. I bet she's cringing at that comment. You shouldn't have come out with that, Barry. I'm a bit disappointed, but you are a lovable rogue. But I think you need to stick to your fishing with Jez Harding, stick to your fishing and stick to watching darts. We all love the darts, don't we, Bazza? But leave the boxing to Eddie. He knows what he's on with. He's got a bit more drive about him than you had. Now, when you were boxing, promoting, Barry, there were no box rec then, were there? They couldn't keep a tabs on you. Now, some of them road sweepers you were serving Christopher Eubank up were shockers. You'd not get away with that now, would you? You just would not get away with it. Now, if Eubanks had 19 world title wins and only 4 of them were world champions. Ben plus 3 other former champions. Who were the other 15 wins he had? That's what I'm trying to say to you, Barry. Now, you could get away with it then, but nowadays you just can't get away with it. Like I pointed out, fans won't put up with it, and you can't keep serving up non-elite guys to Joshua like Povetkin. Come on. Povetkin's a former world champion, and you kept saying you had squeaky bums and it's a tough fight and all that. I think we've heard all that before though, haven't we, from Eddie and you. Didn't you have squeaky bums before the Eric Molina fight? Come on, the guy was a school teacher. You know, it's just all craziness. But that's just my opinion. It's right, I'm going to go through Joshua's record here now. Now, Anthony Joshua, I'm going to read out to you, Barry. I know you're listening, because I know you love my videos. You've been watching them since that Guardian one, haven't you, Baz? You must have a lot of time on your hands, mate. Now, listen. I thank you for them emails you sent me, Barry. But I'll get onto that in a minute. But we're getting back to Joshua's record. Charlie Martin's first world champion he beat, right? But he'd not beat a world champion, had he, Charlie Martin? So that's classed as a paper champion. You know that, Barry, you've used that term before. Right, his second win as a world champion were Brazil. He's not a world champion. Eric Molina, he's not a world champion. Vladimir Klitschko, 41-year-old and 18-month on the settee. Coming off heaviest defeat in 10 years. In his 69th fight, Barry. That's Joshua's best win. Carlos Takam, he's not a world champion, and Chisora's just iced him. Parker, he's a former world champion, Joseph Parker, so I'm going to give that to Joshua. That's 2 champions he's beat. But Parker's not beat a world champion, so he's classed as a paper champion, isn't he, Barry? Then you've got Povetkin. He had a version of the world title, the regular belt. And he was 39-year-old in his 40th year. He was shorter than Joshua, 2 stone lighter, and he had shorter reach. These are very well matched, well picked opponents, but you're not telling the fans the true story, are you, Barry? You keep going on about Joshua's resume, you and Eddie, 22 fights. When you look at Joshua's resume, Barry, it's got more holes in it than Swiss cheese. Now, I'm sorry to say that, but that's the bottom line. It's a poor era. That's what we're in. A poor era. Now, you know, a lot of people on Sky pundits, were coming out with crazy, outlandish and outrageous statements saying that Povetkin is now the best win for Joshua. So let's have a look at Povetkin's record. Who's he beat? He beat Rudenko last summer. Rudenko he beat last summer. Since then he's had Hammer and Price. Jesus. Hammer's been beat 4 times and Price has been beat 4 times before he fought Povetkin. His Price has now had 6 losses. But let's back up a bit. Last summer, Povetkin, who is Joshua's best win, he was fighting Rudenko. But Yui Fury beat Rudenko in his 15th fight. Yui Fury beat him in his 15th fight. So what does that say about Joshua's best win, Barry? I'm only stating facts, so I'm going to state them again. Eddie and all the Sky pundits are now saying Povetkin is Joshua's toughest fight and it's probably his best win, and that he's got a lethal left hook. Now Povetkin last summer, people were saying Rudenko is Povetkin's best win as a fighter. Going through his record, probably right. Rudenko, Manuel Char, Takam, Marius Wack, De Hoopers, Hamer. They're all in that C class, B class, maybe B class list. Now, like I've just said to you, and I'll say it again, Hughie Fury from Manchester beat Rudenko. Now Rudenko had only had one defeat when Hughie Fury beat him. One defeat. So what does that say? He'd been beat by Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown beat him on points, and Hughie Fury beat him on points. Hughie were 14-0, so Hughie beat him in his 15th fight. Since then, he's gone on to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the trot, and he's lost to Povetkin last summer. So the point I'm making, Barry, is Hughie Fury schooled him in his 15th fight, and he's Povetkin's best win. And Povetkin, according to you and Eddie and Sky, is Joshua's best win. Now I think Vladimir's his best win, because it were life and death. And Vladimir had the record, didn't he? But 18 months on settee, that's not good, is it? That's not good at all. But I'm going to finish off. I want to thank you, Barry, for the emails, and I'm going to apologise to you and Eddie for accusing you of having somebody ring me on the Matchroom phone. Now, I've just been reading your emails again that you sent me, Barry. Now, I'm not going to put them out, but I thank you for your quick response and the emails from you and Eddie saying that it's nothing to do with you, and that it is possible for somebody to clone your phone number and ring me on it to stir trouble, and that it's happened before. So I apologise, but I can only go on, Barry, what is on my phone. Now, when I had the phone call, I had a few calls off the same person actually, and he was ringing me off a withheld number after that. Now, obviously it was a Sheffield accent, and it sounded like an Asian gentleman. He'd obviously got a problem with some of my videos where I tell it straight. I'm the alternative news, aren't I, Bazza, to IFL. I tell it straight, and we're a non-profit making channel. That means we don't take any profit, and the sponsors that come on board usually give me, you know, gifts or some, or t-shirts. Somebody gave me some t-shirts. I've had about 7 or 8 Lacoste t-shirts. I've had 4 sent me the other day. Now, I've had my house painted, so that's from Colourworks, so I thank them very much. They like me to give them a mention in videos. So it's a non-profit making channel, and that's how I'm going to keep it. We're not in it for money. Obviously, you know, I have other interests outside of doing this. This is a hobby. I just like to correct people in my videos and give fans a funny, laddish look to how it is. And obviously I do take piss out of a few people, but to me, people like Barry Hearn and Eddie and Peter Fury, Dennis Hobson, all people that, you know, I've met in boxing, and obviously I'm close to Dennis Hobson, and I'm good mates with Peter Fury. Me and Dennis have had our ups and downs, and boxing, people fall out with each other, don't they? But people like that, I class them as peers, you know. People like Terry Chappendama, Martin, Steve Wellings, Ozzie Smith, Smido, Dale Nichols, all them guys who all do pods, you know, Rob Kelly, Tommy and Brian King, all them. I like all them people, all of them, because they give their time to do podcasts, and we're like, we mainly cover the hardcores, don't we, Barry? But I think it's about time that you or Eddie answers some proper questions. I mean, proper questions. I'd be prepared to come and see you with a camera. I'll meet you in a destination you want to meet at, and we'll do the job properly. I'll fetch a cameraman and a bodyguard just in case I need one. But I want you and Eddie to start answering proper boxing questions for hardcore fans. I know that Eddie says that we're only a small minority, and that hardcore fans, they do matter to Matchroom and Sky, but they're not a necessity, and that you do concentrate on the casuals. I can understand that, but they're still boxing fans, aren't they? You know, I'd like you to answer questions, some proper boxing questions, you know, about why you put pay-per-view up. you know, to 20 quid from £17. And I want to ask you some various questions about StubHub and your involvement with them and things like that, and why Joshua's, you know, got 2 fights booked at Wembley and blah de blah, and it's now looking like you never really wanted the Wilder fight. I want to see some proof. I want to see I want you to show me some emails. I won't put them on here, and then I can give an opinion. You know, I'm hoping to get to the bottom of this Joshua Wilder, Shelley Finkel, Barry Hearn mess, because that's what it is. It's a mess. It's a modern day mess. We're talking $50 million offered to Joshua, what he asked for, but nothing seems to be coming of it, does it? You know, this fight. And I just think Joshua's heading now down a road where you're just going to give him guys like Dillian Whyte rematch, who he's already knocked out once and he won 1 round last time, if that. He got 1 punch in. Now I think Dillian Whyte's a better fighter now, and nobody can begrudge him his title shot, but the Wilder fight should have been made, shouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? That should have been made. You had Luis Ortiz. Why didn't you make the Luis Ortiz fight, Barry? He was in your stable. He was the WBA interim champion and world ranked #1 with the WBA mandatory. Why didn't you push to get Luis Ortiz upgraded to regular champion? Because when Scott Quigg was the WBA interim champion, you screamed blue murder to get him upgraded, but yet you didn't want to do that with Luis Ortiz. I want to know why is that. Now I personally think it's because you wanted to keep him away from Joshua. You're a chess player, aren't you, Barry? You're a chess player, and you were making the moves 5-6 months ahead, and I respect that, but I want you to come out and admit it. You say, look, we're a chess move. It was a chess move. Joshua struggles with southpaws like he did Rob Camarelli the few times we fought him, and we just thought Luis Ortiz were too much for Joshua at the time, so we swerved him. That's what I want you to tell the fans the truth, Barry. But I thank you for your emails that you sent me, and yeah, I believe you. I believe you now. I've spoke to a couple of experts, and it's not a nice trick for somebody to be ringing me up and threatening me and saying they're going to take things further because of my opinion in boxing. Boxing is just a sport. I only give an opinion on it. I don't want to get anybody doing anything daft like harming anybody. But like I said, I don't take kindly to threats, and I apologise for what I said to you in the email. So we'll leave it at that, shall we, Barry? But I thank you for your emails that you sent me, and Eddie. But I think that you need to come on Porky's Corner, you or Eddie, and answer some proper questions. Don't worry about expenses or like that. I'll pay my cameraman Frank Smith from Bury. He can come down and film it, and we'll put ourselves up in an hotel in Essex, and I'll have an hour with you both, you and Eddie. But we've got questions here. There's 322 questions sent from the fans to my email, porkycorner@mail.com. That's lowercase in, and it's not Porky's, and it's not Gmail. It's porkycorner@mail.com. Pretty simple stuff, and that's all we want basically. Alright, my friends, so peace out, and I hope you're not going Sea-Nile, Barry, because I think you're good for the sport, but if you're taking on too much, I think you should have a rest and go and do something else. That's what I think you should do. I'll go take these 2 dolly birds out on this bit of filming here that you're on. Alright, now peace out, keep on trucking, keep on supporting boxing, all you Porky followers and hardcore boxing fans, and you casuals as well, and trolls, because the sport needs you. And shout out to Colourworks at Leicester, Charmwood Kitchens at Leicester, and Ali Churchill's Tailors at Doncaster, celebrating 50 years, my tailor. Peace out, God bless.